The world doesn't stop just because the sun goes down. Notifications still arrive, deadlines still loom, memories still haunt. You lie in bed, but your mind is still pacing. Your body is still bracing. The day may be over, but your nervous system hasn't gotten the message. And so you scroll, you refresh, you avoid, you consume more noise hoping it will quiet the noise inside, but it never does. The Stoics didn't have smartphones, but they had chaos. They had betrayal, war, responsibility, grief, and loss. They knew what it meant to carry the world on your back and still try to sleep at night. So they developed a practice, a kind of unburdening, not mystical, not elaborate, just deliberate. Seneca, in particular, ended each day by reviewing it, moment by moment, not obsessively but with clarity. He would ask himself, what did I do well? Where did I fall short? What stirred my anger? Where did I act out of fear or impulse? Where did I hold firm? Where did I forget what matters? This was not a moral performance. It wasn't about shame. It was about awareness. The kind that frees you from repeating the same patterns unconsciously. The kind that lets you meet the next day with composure instead of guilt. Because the day is never just what happened, it's also how you carried it. And most of us carry it without looking, without unpacking, without letting go. The Stoic evening practice is an act of release, a gentle confrontation, a soft inventory, and you don't need hours. You don't need a journal full of perfect lines. You just need a quiet place, a few minutes, and the courage to sit with yourself without distraction, to notice where you betrayed your own values, where you let someone else's chaos become yours, where you could have stayed silent but didn't, where you stayed composed when you could have collapsed. The point is not perfection, the point is presence, to end the day not in reaction but reflection, so that when the next one begins, you're not starting from scattered pieces but from wholeness. The chaos out there is real, but it becomes dangerous when it's never questioned, when it's allowed to settle in your chest and define you. This practice, done consistently, returns you to yourself. One day at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time, and that's how it begins, with a pause, a question, and a willingness to look inward even when it's easier to scroll. Reflection isn't glamorous. It doesn't earn applause. No one sees it. No one validates it. It's just you, the stillness, and the truth, and that's exactly why it works. The Stoics didn't reflect to impress anyone. They reflected because they understood a simple, brutal truth. An unexamined life becomes reactive, noisy, heavy, and when you don't review your day begins to repeat itself, not with intention, but with inertia. Seneca didn't sit with his thoughts to shame himself. He sat with them because he knew something was always at stake: his integrity, his clarity, his ability to live deliberately instead of emotionally. And so, each night, he slowed down time. He took back the hours. He revisited his own choices with curiosity, not condemnation. Ask yourself, what did I say today that I wish I hadn't? What did I not say that I wish I had? What did I avoid out of fear? What pulled me away from my values? Where was I generous? Where was I selfish? Did I live today like someone who remembers he will die? These are not casual questions. They're uncomfortable, but discomfort is where growth begins. And without growth, your life becomes a repetition of reactions. That's what most people don't see. They assume the Stoics were above emotion, that they floated above the pain, but they didn't. They just trained for it. They prepared for it. They examined their response to it every single day. You don't have to sit on a stone floor in a robe. You don't have to write a letter to yourself in perfect Latin. You just have to stop for 5 minutes, maybe 10. Put the phone down, turn the lights low, and ask, who was I today? Not in public, but when it counted. Not for others, but in my own quiet moments, when no one was watching, because your life isn't what you show, it's what you carry. And if you never examine what you're carrying, it begins to weigh you down, quietly, until your reactions are no longer choices, they're habits. Reflection breaks that cycle. It interrupts the trance of daily stress. It says, before I sleep, I will not distract. I will not run, I will look. And in that looking, you start to heal things that would otherwise stay hidden. You begin to understand your fear, your anger, your disappointment, not to bury it, but to name it, to learn from it, to walk through the fire instead of pretending it's not there. Marcus Aurelius said, don't go on discussing what a good person should be, just be one. That's what the evening practice gives you, not a perfect day, but a clearer one. Not a pure record, but an honest one. You learn to spot the patterns, the triggers, the moments you collapsed under pressure, and the moments you didn't. You start to see that strength is built in the aftermath. Not just in the action, but in the remembering. The world will always offer you more stimulation, more distraction, more escape routes from your own mind. But stillness, reflection, is the only way to re-enter yourself. To end the day with wholeness, not splintered into noise, but gathered again into clarity. This is how the Stoics survived. This is how they endured grief and betrayal and war and loss. Not because they were made of stone, but because they looked at themselves honestly and often. And that's your practice now too, to stop, to reflect, to reclaim the only thing that's ever really been yours, your mind. There's a moment, usually just before sleep, when the noise fades. The lights are off. No one is asking anything from you, and all that remains is you and whatever you've been avoiding all day. Most people try to outrun that moment. They fill it with screens, with sound, with scrolling, because silence has a way of revealing things we'd rather not face. But that moment, the one you're tempted to avoid, that's the doorway. It's the doorway the Stoics walked through every night. Not for punishment, not for guilt, but to come home to themselves, to shed the weight of the day without dumping it on someone else tomorrow. Because if you don't clear the mind, it spills into your sleep, into your relationships, into the quiet moments of the next day, disguised as stress or impatience or fatigue. The Stoic evening practice is not about doing more. It's about doing less, intentionally. It's about letting go of everything that doesn't belong in tomorrow. Regret, bitterness, distraction, noise. It's a spiritual hygiene, a kind of soul decluttering. You sit in the quiet and ask, what did I carry today that didn't belong to me? What reaction am I still holding onto that I need to release? What story about myself did I believe, and is it actually true? The goal isn't to judge yourself, it's to witness yourself, to stop pretending, to stop performing. Just to see with honest eyes the person you were and who you're still becoming. That's how you end the day with strength, even when the day itself was messy. And slowly, you begin to notice something. You sleep better, you speak more carefully. You apologize sooner. You feel your emotions without being pulled under by them. You start catching yourself earlier before the old habits take over, because the practice is working, not in obvious ways. Not like a productivity hack or a quick fix, but like water smoothing stone, like night shaping the soul in places daylight never reaches. The chaos doesn't go away, the world doesn't suddenly get quieter, but you do. You stop needing to respond to every voice. You stop living in reaction. You stop needing the world to validate your pace or your value. You start moving from your center, again and again and again, until it becomes who you are. Not because you forced it, but because you practiced it. That's what the Stoics understood. That wisdom is not a burst, it's a rhythm. That peace isn't stumbled into, it's chosen every evening, in stillness, in honesty, in quiet return. So tonight, when everything in you wants to numb out, don't. Sit down, breathe, ask, listen, and reclaim your mind from the noise. You don't need more stimulation, you need stillness. You don't need more content, you need context. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be present. Because when you end the day with yourself, you begin the next one with power. And over time, that's how the chaos loses its grip. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Night by night, practice by practice.